His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, chaired the weekly cabinet meeting at Gudaibiya Palace. The cabinet commended the 2030 Youth City, which was visited by His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, where he met with its officials and participants. The visit comes as part of His Majesty the King's commitment to meeting with Bahraini youth and recognising their key role in the kingdom's ongoing development. The cabinet noted the progress of the youth sector, supported by His Majesty the King. In this regard, the cabinet underscored the efforts of the representative of His Majesty the King for Humanitarian Work and Youth Affairs, His Highness Highness bin Hamad Al Khalifa, in empowering young people and supporting their initiatives. The Cabinet also commended the First Deputy Chairman of the Supreme Council for Youth and Sports, Chairman of the General Sports Authority and President of the Bahrain Olympic Committee, His Highness Sheikh Khalid bin Hamad Al Khalifa, for his contributions to strengthening Bahrain's sports sector and promoting youth development. The Cabinet emphasised the importance of discussions held between His Majesty the King and the President of Lebanon, General Joseph Aoun, in reinforcing the historical ties between Bahrain and Lebanon, supported by multi-sectorial collaboration. His Royal Highness affirmed that the official visit of President Aoun to Bahrain embodies the deep-rooted Bahrain-Lebanon ties built in mutual respect. The Cabinet commended the outcomes of His Majesty the King's working visit to Italy and the discussions held between His Majesty and the Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni. The talks focused on strengthening the long-standing Bahrain-Italy partnership and exploring avenues for expanding cooperation across various sectors. Both sides also discussed regional and international developments and issues of mutual interest. The Cabinet reviewed the outcomes of the official visit by His Royal Highness to the US and his meeting with President Donald Trump. The Cabinet emphasised that the visit reinforced the strategic partnership between the two countries, which spans more than 130 years. In this regard, the Cabinet outlined the significance of the $17 billion investment package announced during the visit, covering multiple sectors as a reflection of the deep trust and strong ties between both countries, further advancing the strategic partnership. The Cabinet further commended the warm reception extended by the US administration to His Royal Highness and Bahrain's delegation during the visit. Marking the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons, the Cabinet directed the relevant authorities to continue their efforts to combat human trafficking, further advancing Bahrain's firm stance on this important issue. The Cabinet expressed its gratitude to the Ministry of Interior and the relevant authorities in supporting these efforts. The Cabinet also underscored the importance of continuing the delivery of humanitarian aid in Gaza, expressing its gratitude to allied countries for their efforts. The Cabinet reiterated Bahrain's steadfast position in supporting the Palestinian cause and efforts aimed at achieving a just, peaceful and lasting solution to the Palestinian issue, as well as the importance of protecting civilians, releasing hostages, de-escalation and avoiding violence that threatens regional security and stability. The Cabinet then approved the following memorandums. A memorandum submitted by the Government Executive Committee regarding a package of priority draft laws aimed at advancing development initiatives that benefit Bahraini citizens. A memorandum submitted by the Ministerial Committee for Legal and Legislative Affairs regarding a draft resolution to amend table attached to the Edict on Customs Services. A memorandum submitted by the Ministerial Committee for Legal and Legislative Affairs regarding a memorandum of cooperation between the Ministry of Interior and the US Department of Homeland Security. The MOU aims to enhance cooperation in border security through exchanging information. A memorandum submitted by the Ministerial Committee for Legal and Legislative Affairs regarding a memorandum of understanding between the General Directorate of Verdict Enforcement and Alternative Sentencing and the Royal University for Women on the provision of specialised educational programmes for members of the Directorate and the beneficiaries of alternative penalties. A memorandum submitted by the Ministerial Committee for Legal and Legislative Affairs regarding an MOU between the Information and E-Government Authority and the Ministry of Communications and Technologies of Tunisia. A memorandum submitted by the Ministerial Committee for Legal and Legislative Affairs regarding the MOU between the Supreme Council for Environment and the Ministry of Environmental Protection of Turkmenistan. A memorandum submitted by the Ministerial Committee for Legal and Legislative Affairs regarding the Government's response to 7 proposals submitted by the Council of Representatives and a draft law submitted by the Shura Council. The Cabinet then reviewed a memorandum submitted by the Minister of Shura Council and Representative Council Affairs regarding the proceedings of the third regular session of the 6th legislative term, which reflected the positive outcomes of cooperation between the executive and legislative authorities across legislation and oversight. The Cabinet then took note of the planned external visits by Bahraini ministers and scheduled visits to Bahrain by foreign ministers in August 2025.